The Las Vegas Summer League is heading into its semifinal round, and the Golden State Warriors are set to face a serious test against the Los Angeles Lakers on Saturday night. This is not just another summer game. The winner earns a spot in the Summer League Championship, and both franchises are sending competitive rosters full of players fighting for their NBA futures. Hey, what's up everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do. And honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. The Lakers came into the semifinals as the only team in Las Vegas to go undefeated through all 4 of their preliminary matchups. That is a remarkable run that speaks to the depth and cohesion this young Lakers squad has developed throughout the tournament. Meanwhile, the Warriors finished with a 3-1 record, good enough to advance thanks to their third best scoring margin among all teams that ended with that same record. Golden State got the job done when it mattered, but this game will be a clear step up in competition. The two teams have already faced each other recently. During the California Classic tournament, just 2 weeks before the Las Vegas event, the Warriors won by 32 points. That was a dominant performance. But the Lakers look like a different unit now. They have found their rhythm, their rotations, and their identity in a way that was not visible in that earlier meeting. Momentum matters in summer basketball, and the Lakers have a lot of it heading into Saturday. Golden State has not won a Las Vegas Summer League championship since 2013, when a team featuring Draymond Green and Ian Clark, who was named MVP of the championship game, captured the title. That drought now stretches over a decade, and the Warriors will be motivated to end it. But motivation alone will not be enough against a Lakers group playing its best basketball of the summer. The player who will have the biggest impact for the Warriors is Axel Lendeborg. He came into Las Vegas looking like one of the best rookies in the entire tournament. His first game in Vegas was a jaw-dropping performance where he recorded 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. He was explosive, playful with the ball, and showing the kind of versatility that made him such an appealing prospect heading into the draft. But his production has been inconsistent. In his 4th game, he shot just 1 of 9 from the field and scored only 3 points. Over the full 4-game stretch, he is averaging 13.2 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 4.8 assists. Solid numbers, but not dominant. Part of what is holding Lendeborg back is conditioning. He has openly admitted that he is not in peak physical shape. During the NCAA tournament, he suffered both an MCL injury and an ankle injury, which forced him to take nearly a full month off from basketball. That layoff has affected his stamina and his sharpness, and it shows in games where he seems to coast rather than attack. The question heading into the semifinals is whether the spotlight of an elimination game will bring out his competitive best, or whether his body will once again limit him. For the Lakers, the standout performer has been Cameron Carr. The 6'5" wing was selected 24th overall in the draft, a surprising fall for a player many scouts had projected to go earlier. Carr has clearly taken the slight personally. He is averaging 18.3 points per game in Las Vegas and playing with a visible chip on his shoulder. Outperforming Lendeborg in a high-stakes game would only add fuel to his case that teams passed on him too early. Also worth watching for the Warriors is guard LJ Cryer, who is averaging 14.8 points per game in Vegas. He is connected on the 13 of 35 3-point attempts and is dishing out 3.8 assists per game. Cryer proved he belonged at the NBA level during the regular season and is pushing for his 2-way contract to be upgraded to a standard deal. How he performs on Saturday could play directly into that front office decision. Arthur Kaluma has been one of the most efficient scorers in the entire tournament, shooting an extraordinary 63.9% from the field, 54.5% from 3, and 86.7% from the free throw line while averaging 20 points per game. Athero, another Warriors option, is averaging 14.8 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.0 assists, earning most of his buckets by attacking the basket in transition and off the dribble. His defensive energy and athleticism make him a factor on both ends of the floor. One significant variable for Golden State is the availability of Will Richard. If the wing is healthy enough to suit up, Golden State's chances of advancing improve substantially. If he is held out, the Warriors will be leaning heavily on their other options in a game that figures to be tightly contested. The Lakers enter with a plus 70 scoring margin in Las Vegas, the best of any team in the tournament. They are also shooting 50.4% from the field as a team, another league best mark. Those are not small edges. They reflect a team that has been executing on both ends with consistency and confidence. The prediction leans toward Los Angeles. The Lakers are more settled, better conditioned, and playing with greater urgency. Lendeborg might not bring his peak effort on a summer afternoon when his body is still catching up to where it needs to be. Lakers win by 9. The Golden State Warriors entered the 2026 NBA offseason with a compelling pitch for LeBron James. They had the location, they had the head coach, Steve Kerr, who James knows and respects after years of competing against him in the NBA Finals. And most importantly, they had Steph Curry and Draymond Green, two of James's longest-running rivals who have since become close personal friends. The narrative wrote itself: LeBron in the twilight of his career, joining the dynasty that pushed him to his limits and chasing one final championship alongside the players who once stood in his way. It was a beautiful story, but right now, it appears to be nothing more than a dream slipping through Golden State's fingers. Multiple reports published this week paint a troubling picture for Golden State's pursuit of the four-time MVP and future Hall of Famer. The early buzz around the NBA was that if James chose to leave the Los Angeles Lakers, which he ultimately did, the Warriors would be the team most likely to land him. That assumption has been slowly eroded over the past several weeks, and the latest information coming out of league circles makes a Warriors-LeBron pairing look increasingly unlikely as the free agency calendar moves deeper into July. One of the central pieces of this free agency story involved Anthony Davis. When James entered the market, one of the early scenarios that gained real traction was the idea of the Warriors trading for Davis, who won a championship alongside James with the Lakers back in 2020. The two players have a history, a rhythm, and a shared understanding of what it takes to win at the highest level. Pairing them again on a new franchise seemed like the perfect move to make Golden State the most attractive destination for James. But according to reporting from Heavy's Sean Devaney, neither the Warriors nor the Washington Wizards, who hold Davis's rights in those trade discussions, have shown any real interest in making that deal happen. The Warriors reportedly do not want to acquire Davis, and the Wizards have not been motivated to move him despite Davis remaining a persistent name in trade conversations throughout this offseason. Without the Davis component, and with James appearing to gravitate elsewhere, the Warriors' pitch is getting harder to sell. An anonymous NBA executive quoted by Devaney captured the situation with striking clarity. The executive believes James genuinely wants to play in Golden State at an emotional level. There is something deeply appealing to the 41-year-old superstar about finishing his career alongside Curry and Green, playing in a winning culture with a coach he trusts, and remaining in the California market where he has built much of his personal brand and business empire over the last several years. But what James wants emotionally and what makes sense from a pure championship standpoint do not appear to align, at least not in the eyes of the broader basketball world. The Warriors, while still a talented and competitive franchise, are not widely viewed as the safest or most direct path to a championship. Curry, though still elite, is not the same force he was during the dynasty years. The roster around him carries real question marks heading into next season. James, who has spent virtually his entire career making decisions based on maximizing his chances of winning a title, may be choosing to prioritize the ring over the romance of the Golden State storyline. For a player of his stature, legacy is everything, and every decision in his final chapter will be viewed through that lens. The prediction markets have begun to reflect this shift in momentum away from Golden State. Polymarket, a growing platform that tracks probability estimates on major sporting and cultural events, now shows the Warriors with less than a 20% chance of signing James. They have fallen behind the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat, and the Philadelphia 76ers in those probability calculations. The Cavaliers, where James began his NBA journey as a teenager and where he delivered one of the most emotionally powerful championship moments in league history in 2016, appear to be the current frontrunners. A return to Cleveland would complete a full-circle narrative that rivals even the Golden State storyline in terms of its emotional weight and historical significance. James left the Lakers without staging a grand farewell season, choosing instead to pursue one more championship rather than going out gracefully in Los Angeles. He is 41 years old and still playing at a level that commands deep respect from every team in the league. This offseason is expected to be one of the most closely followed in NBA history, not just for the basketball stakes, but for what it represents about how one of the greatest players the sport has ever produced chooses to write the final chapter of his legendary career. For the Warriors, the message coming from multiple sources is now clear. The window they hope to open for LeBron appears to be closing faster than expected. Unless something changes dramatically in the coming days, Golden State may be watching from the outside as another franchise earns the right to have James on their roster for what figures to be the last great run of his unparalleled career. The Golden State Warriors have spent recent weeks chasing LeBron James and exploring a potential trade for Anthony Davis, but a new conversation has entered the picture. What if the Warriors pivoted entirely and targeted Joel Embiid instead? That is the question being raised by analysts and commentators this week, and the answer is more complicated than it might appear on the surface. The premise behind a potential Warriors move for Embiid starts with context. Golden State has been aggressive this offseason, and with good reason. Stephen Curry is not getting younger, and the organization understands that the time to compete for championships is now. The franchise is in a familiar position, talented enough to matter, but in need of another elite piece to truly threaten for a title. If Golden State cannot land James, which is looking increasingly probable given the latest reports, the front office will need to consider alternative paths to building a contender around its franchise cornerstone before the window closes entirely. Embiid's name is one that has surfaced in those conversations, and it deserves serious analysis. Embiid is undeniably one of the most skilled big men the league has seen in a generation. His footwork in the post is elite. His mid-range shooting game is nearly unstoppable when he is operating at full health. His ability to draw fouls at an extraordinarily high rate and convert those trips to the line with efficiency makes him one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in basketball today. He commands double teams consistently, which would open up driving and shooting lanes for Curry in ways that few players in the league could replicate. On paper, pairing the two of them together produces a combination that opposing defenses would struggle to contain in a consistent way over a 7-game playoff series. But the word that follows Embiid everywhere he goes is health. In recent years, his availability has been a persistent and legitimate concern. Knee problems, facial injuries, and a series of other physical setbacks have limited his ability to play consistently, especially during the most critical stretches of the postseason. Teams that build around Embiid accept a level of risk that most franchises would rather avoid when they are operating within a narrow championship window. That is the trade-off at the center of any Embiid acquisition conversation, and it is not one that can be dismissed with optimism alone. Media personality Bill Simmons weighed in on the topic during a recent broadcast, and his comments framed the situation with a perspective that cuts right to the heart of the debate. Simmons noted that any team seriously pursuing Embiid would have to be operating from a place of genuine urgency, perhaps even a kind of controlled desperation. He acknowledged that Embiid did perform well under Steve Kerr's coaching guidance on the international stage, demonstrating a baseline compatibility that could absolutely translate to the Warriors' offensive system. But Simmons also issued a pointed warning that Golden State's decision makers cannot ignore. If the Warriors commit to acquiring Embiid and the move does not pan out, they risk burning what may be the last meaningful asset available to them in their window of contention around Curry. That is not a minor risk. That is a potentially franchise-altering decision with consequences that could echo for years. The Philadelphia 76ers situation adds another layer of complexity to the conversation. According to recent reporting from inside league circles, the 76ers are believed to be motivated to move off Embiid's contract, which carries substantial financial weight and several more years remaining. If that reporting is accurate, it opens a real door for teams willing to absorb the salary and accept the health uncertainty in exchange for acquiring one of basketball's most dominant players when he is actually on the court and performing. The question for Golden State specifically is whether the potential reward justifies the inherent danger of the bet. Draymond Green, whose versatility and basketball intelligence are among the highest in the entire league, would complement Embiid well on both ends of the floor. Green's ability to play off a dominant big man while functioning as a switchable and disruptive defender would give the Warriors a lineup combination that is difficult to plan against. The parts fit together in an interesting way when you lay them out, but the NBA is not played on paper. It is played through an 82-game grind and a playoff schedule that demands physical resilience and availability above almost everything else. For the Warriors, the calculus comes down to one core question. How willing are they to take a major gamble on a player of enormous talent and enormous physical risk at a moment when Curry's remaining elite years are numbered? If the Lebron pursuit falls completely flat and no other realistic path to immediate contention emerges, the Embiid conversation will only grow louder inside the Golden State front office in the weeks ahead,